Yeah, which just, and then it was funny because it was like, I'd say like 10, 15, a bunch of people had left, and it was mostly people that I knew that were left there.
Right.
And Ash was like, we need to get going. And I was like, I know we need to go. She's like, but you're just starting to have fun. I was like, did you have fun? She's like, yeah, I had a lot of fun. I was like, that's good. It's fine. The kids are going to start pulling each other's faces off in a second. We need to get home.
Right. Right. But that's, yeah, it was an interesting conversation that I had with that person, because I could see her energy as she was talking to me about have. And so I got to the point where I just had to say, can we just stop for a second? And I said, what of these things would you just choose to do? Right. And she said, well, I would do A, B, and C, not D, but E. And I was like, okay, so how could you choose to do D? Right. And she says, well, I could hire it done, or I could have somebody come and help me do it, or whatever. And I said, see, you chose to change the way that you're looking at it. You chose to empower yourself, not to encumber yourself with all the stuff. And then you got to do the other 4 things happily. And as she was talking about it, she was, you could just see her posture sitting up, smiling. And so we went from her being overwhelmed, totally encumbered with all the stuff that she thought she had to do, to the point where she felt empowered. And it's okay to, hire something done or ask for help. We talk about that all the time, right? And this was not a male, right? And it's, so I know when we say man myth, it's not, we kind of started off that way, but the more that we do this, the more I find it's like the human myth, or it's just, it's everybody.
The mankind myth.
Right. But yeah, she went from negative feelings to positive feelings. And I think that was one of the cool things. And then there was this, back when I had my practice in Richmond, I had this lady I took care of, and she was, I want to say she was 88, and it's coming up to Thanksgiving, and I see her about once or twice a month. So after Thanksgiving, I see her the next week twice, the next week twice. And I'm like, what's going on? And she says, I hate the holidays. And I was like, because I went to the part where, did somebody die during the holidays? Did whatever, right? And then she says, no. She says, my family expects me to do everything. And I said, what do you mean everything? She says, well, I cook. I do all the cooking. I have to prep the house. Everything has to be clean. And it, not just for her family, but for her standards, right? She was also, some of her choosing to do was also encumbering, right? So she came in, I remember it was the second week of December. And I said, you're not getting much better. And she goes, I tell you, it's overwhelming. And I said, here's what we're going to do. And I sat her down, and I took care of a couple of her kids too. And I said, this is what you're going to do. You're going to give some recipes away for Christmas. That's going to be your Christmas gift to people. Don't have to buy anything else, just some recipes. And she says, and I was like, no, that's everybody wants their grandma's recipes, right? And she said, okay, what else, what is that going to help? I said, well, not only are you going to give them the recipes, but they're going to bring that dish to your house. And she goes, what? And I said, that's going to be your gift. They're going to bring all that stuff to your house. And she says, well, that's great. They don't have time to clean the house. I said, no, you won't. I've got 2 of your granddaughters. They're going to come clean your house before Christmas, and everybody's going to show up. And she said, well, I think that would be amazing. And I said, it will be amazing because you get to spend time with your grandkids, right? They get to learn how to clean and you'll have the dishes. And I said, but the one thing, please don't critique the dishes when they come over because there'll be plenty of that, right? There'll be plenty of that because everybody.
It's their first time making it.
One sis will tell the other brother he didn't make the potato, whatever it is, right? So that's all good.
Right.
And her light just shines, right? And she goes, oh my God. Right. She goes, all I have to do is a turkey. And I'm like, nope. I want to send a turkey over to your house. So I went to, I think it was Kroger at the time. And I said, I need a 25-pound turkey delivered to this lady's house. And, so she came in, I think it was the week after Christmas. And I don't think I've ever, she dressed up. She was like all dolled up and energy was way up. And she goes, that was the best Christmas I've ever had in my life. But see, we took her have-tos and we took them away in that process. But at 88, that's what she deserves. Right.
Right. Yeah.
So
she shouldn't have to be doing all that at 88.
Right. But I think that's when we get into the situation of not asking for help. Right. And her kids would have helped. I don't know if they would have. They did when I asked them to. But all she had to do was. They
probably would have when she asked her to, too.
Yeah. So when you think about have-tos, see if there's a way to choose something different with it. Make sure that you have a spot in your toolbox to ask for some help. What could I hire out? What could I get somebody to help me with? Because this is crazy, right? Like I think it's later on. In 2 weeks, I guess it is. Rhonda and Jeff are coming down to help me do some stuff around the house.
Nice.
Stuff that
you need some help every once in a while.
I would have to do, right?
Have to do.
But
exactly.
But that's kind of where I was going with this. It was funny to watch how, and I see that doing this podcast with you, I think I see that I monitor that in people about what causes their shoulders to roll over, or their head to go down, or their voice to go down.
Right.
What is it that is that factor that you and I can help with and talk with? That's why we do, we have these different subjects and stuff.
Yeah, and the funny, like doing this podcast could be a have to. Like this could be something if I didn't enjoy it as much as I do, and I didn't have fun, and the kids. Before we start recording, the kids are always coming in and saying hi, and Grayson put the headphones on, and I almost let him do this episode tonight.
He almost did it with me today.
Just seeing this has been such a choose every time. Like today, I was like, oh, I forgot I have the podcast tonight. It wasn't I forgot I have to do the podcast. It was I have the it was. I might as well have just said I get to do the podcast tonight, because it wasn't like any kind of the only thing was I was I was just running late because again, nothing can ever go just smooth. It was, right. But it wasn't bad. Dinner took longer to get ready than I thought, but it's never been I have to do the podcast tonight. What am I going to do now? It's never ever been that, which I think is what it has to be. If we're going to be doing this, I can't get to the point of it being a have to. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. And even in that vein,
this has to be a choice.
We moved at nights because, we choose to do it when it's easiest for both of us. Right. We usually do it Thursdays. If Thursday's got something coming up, it's like, can we do it Friday? Friday, something else came up, and it was like, let's just do it Sunday. And that's cool. We didn't have to do it on Thursday.
Yeah, and I'm never, and I hope you're never worried about it, but I'm never worried about if I have to change the night or if I need to do, like tonight I said, you text me and said, hey, we still good? And I was like, yeah, I just going to be a little late. But it's never a worry of mine to be like, oh, I can't do it tonight, Dad. How about like I would have texted you earlier Friday if it was, but the baby was just not dealing.
It's not cooperating.
She's 3 months old, so I mean, what do you expect? But
yeah, I am gonna throw.
Life gets in the way. You're gonna have times to say the same thing.
Yeah, do that. I've already done that. I am gonna throw a have to in here though.
Okay.
We have to have Matt back
on. Okay.
Somewhere. I mean,
sure,
it was really fun to. I mean, I learned. I watched it a couple times, and I watched his smoothness of his interaction with the camera, and I look at the screen, the camera's up here, right, and I'm like,
right,
yeah. I can't look at the camera for some reason yet, but how he talked on it, and well, he's got that fancy
right
too, so yeah, but it was fun.
Well, he has a mic that's also plugged into a bunch of other stuff, so his is going to sound better.
We're just little,
but and we've been doing this for a few months. He's been doing this for like years, and doing multiple podcasts all the time. So but it is nice to see like how he, like, because I'm all over the place, right? Like I know I just look everywhere. Something gets my eye, and I just I try to look at the camera, but like you said, it's like I feel like so weird talking here and looking up there, and then I have my light here, and then half the time I have a dog over here. Like there's just so much going on. Sometimes it's like, okay, but
I don't have those other distractions. But
yeah,
I did it's funny because what I'm thinking, my eyes wander. It was so funny. I was just like, it looked like I was like doing this all the time. But to see how smooth he was, and his passion. I mean, the beard community it's pretty amazing when they're talking about the charity stuff that they do, and having so the people that can't grow beards, male and female, can actually design a beard and have it judged at these things. It was pretty cool.
Right. I mean, what place are you going to find that has a bunch of ladies with built-on beards walking around? Like it's just a cool idea. And I need to get to, I think we need to get to a beard show for sure and do some stuff. But I'm hoping we get some more beard community. He said he's going to repost our stuff, so hopefully he gets a chance to do that. I know he's super busy, but it'll just be fun to see that trickle down and see if we can get some more people like him and with him on.
Yeah, I mean, I used the oil the last few days and tried to get some of the, what was you say was the balm?
Paste. The balm. That's the old stuff that we use. This other new stuff I think is going to be even better.
So, yeah. So that was, I mean, that's where I went with this today. I thought it was just kind of cool to watch the session with that lady, and how just empowering her to the choice really increased her energy levels and made her change. Like everything her posture was good. It was pretty amazing. But doing this podcast with you and us trying to help people through these things, it makes me more observant of what signals come up with this. And I think it makes me, I mean, eventually I'll be a better friend because I'll be able to say, listen, let's talk. Or is there anything that you need? Like you said in the party, you did it before it became a factor. Right. You felt it. You worked on it.
Right.
You took charge and did what you needed to do. over the last few months, we've been doing the podcast, and I've been sitting in a depressive mode that wasn't like severe. It was just like lack of energy. And, how do I get out of this? Well, go through your tools. Get your butt out of bed, get a morning routine, get some exercise, make sure you're hydrated, eat correctly. I mean, that's not usually a big thing for me. Grounded. Watch the pups, how they love me, right? And try to return that. So even doing the podcast, I kind of fell into that little rut. And I think the thing that really keeps me going is knowing that I have you and I have people in my life I have a ton of community, right? That if I need to reach out, I can reach out. And I have. So it's just making a lot more, for me, it's making, again, noticing in other people, but I also have to notice in myself.
Right. Well, and I think it's harder to notice in ourselves.
I can't. It becomes, it's easier to help other people. And that gets to the point where we should give ourselves the same kindness we give other people.
Right. But we never do, or rarely do.
Rarely do. Yeah. So it's been...
Unless we're aware of it.
Right. And that's why I'm proud of you for doing that at the party, because it was like nip in the bud, right? And it takes less time to recenter the less time you're out of it. Do you know what
exactly.
I mean?
But that took a long time. Yeah, and that took a long time for me to not only just notice the signs, but notice when it's early enough to do something about it quickly. A lot of people, it's not going to be, and I know there's people that are listening to this like, oh, okay, that's a good method, get some time away from everybody, breathe, do this thing. But 3/4 of me helping myself is feeling, letting myself feel and knowing the situation and the feelings and all the little subtle things that start happening when I'm getting anxious, when I'm getting overwhelmed, because that's like you said, the sooner I start, the faster I can center myself. And then it's usually once I center myself again, I'm good to go. There's no like back and forth. But a lot of people haven't been working on it or haven't been shown how to do that. And I didn't get shown how to do it. I just had to start paying attention to my own body, to my own signal, to my own brain, to my own heart, everything. Mm-hmm. And listening to all that at one time and decoding it enough that you can do something about it before it becomes a problem.
It's losing that fear of going there, I think, is some of it. And what I mean by that is it like if I haven't been in the depths that you have been in depression, and I'm not a big anxiety. I don't get that too much because I think my give a shit's kind of broken on a lot of things. And what?
History in the making right here. You got to wash that curse word out of your mouth.
I know. Like, but when people fear what other people will say about you, like when you took your break, you didn't really care what people said, but you had a good experience when you came back and they said they're proud of you, right?
Right.
The stories in our head, a lot of times what happens is we make that bigger, the problem bigger than it is. So if we go and we get into that situation, or you get into that situation, you say, I want to go take some time off just to relax and regroup. But if Jim Bob sees that, or then what do they think of me? What do they think of me? What do they think of me?
Right.